Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today we want to talk about behavior that is common in relationships and can cause confusion, and that behavior is called avoidant behavior. The reason we wanted to talk about this today is because avoidant behavior is one of those behaviors that you can easily do, and it usually causes confusion and your spouse doesn't really know what you're thinking, but most of the time you don't even realize it's happening. So we wanted to talk to you about some examples of how we've seen it in our relationship, some reasons why maybe it's a common thing that can happen, and also how to tackle it and how to give your spouse grace when they're struggling to stop it. And we can go through more as we go along.
When we speak about avoidant behavior, I mean, when you have a conflict, you have something that you don't like, but you don't voice it because you want to avoid conflict. But this leads to actual conflict coming into the situation because there is misunderstanding, and sometimes, most of the time, there's hurt feelings and things just kind of escalate instead of getting better.
And it doesn't only come up in situations where you want to avoid conflict. Sometimes you just want to be careful of your spouse and to think about their feelings, and in trying to consider them, you avoid mentioning a certain trait or thing that maybe annoys you, and in trying to give them grace or give them some sort of time to figure it out themselves, but they're not changing and you're not saying anything, and you find yourself getting more and more frustrated in that situation.
Recently, we had a situation where we had avoidant behavior. So background, I don't like sweaty smell. I don't like many smells, but I really don't like the sweaty smell. I'm not the cliche movie, oh, I like the sweaty smell, I like if you just don't shower, just let me smell. I'm not like that. And my husband is training for the half marathon. He'd come in from running, and in my head, you've come from running, you're gonna go straight to the shower, and then you're gonna come downstairs and then we can do life, we can talk, we can do whatever is happening. But he'd come in and he'd be fixing this here, sorting that there, having this little chat over here, and in the back of my head I'm just like, there's just this sweat smell filling the room, filling the house, and I'm just counting down what is the time that he's gonna actually go in the shower so this smell can actually start leaving the house. And he'd be talking to me and I'd be giving very short answers. And now it probably looks like I'm upset, but in my head I had a very good time. And you literally run, and the moment you come in, you're gonna go straight to the bathroom, have a shower, and then change all your clothes, and then come in, you can do life. But I didn't voice this. I never voiced this, so maybe I did it not in a very clear manner or explaining where I'm coming from. And so sometimes it led to hurt feelings, or like, don't you want me around?
Well, I can share my part. So whenever I run, I always have a billion things that goes through my head. It's the time to just think about God, think about the family, and think about what I'd like to do for the day even. And so most of the time when I come back from a run, I just want to get those things done straight away. So I was thinking, I just had an idea on how we could organize our house. Straight away, I'd want to just go and start organizing it. And this is just how I've always been whenever I run. So, because I didn't know that Shari didn't like the sweat smell, or she wanted me to shower straight away, I was just doing all these things just absent-mindedly and not really thinking that it was a problem. But the thing is, for Shari, she's like, when are you going? When are you gonna go? The time is going. And I can see that she's frustrated, or because I don't know what she's frustrated about. I could just think she's frustrated about something else that I've done, and I feel like I'm in trouble somewhere else. But the thing is that it was just about the sweat smell. And so it caused confusion on my side that, oh, are you frustrated with me because of this? But really, it was just about a specific spell. So why can this cause problems in a relationship?
I think similarly to what we've already been talking about, when you don't address things that make you feel a certain way, they can lead to the wrong conclusions to why something is happening. And in our situation, I didn't say what it was, and it's always a slow build up. So it's once another time it happens and it becomes, what's going on? What have I done? And this behavior is not normal. Normally, you want to be around me, you want to be around, and it seems like you're just, when are you going to go shower? And I'm thinking, it's been 5 years. Do you not know that I want you to shower straight after you come from running? But this is probably not something I've expressed clearly in that way. And so for me, I'm thinking, well, you don't really care about what I think, or it's not that important to you, and you just want to do what you want to do, and I just have to be okay with the smell and not have any preferences. So it just ends up becoming something bigger than it was. And then we talk about it, and then I think we always go, oh, I didn't know that this is what you felt, this is what you thought. If you told me sooner, maybe you could have avoided this. And so the cycle continues, and there's always different things that pop up. I think that can be a result of not sharing and having this avoidant behavior.
And because it's so easy to resolve once it actually comes out in the open, that's why we've realized that this is such a deceptive thought to have, that, oh, maybe I should hold back what I want to say and not be clear or not be direct. I think it's this idea of being direct with one another. There's a place we can get to, especially as we get older in our marriage, that we can be direct with one another and just say what it is, say it how it is. But even when you're 5 years married, 10 years, 15 years married, there are ways in which you can try and give subliminal messages to your spouse rather than being direct with them. And we need that directness just to really make things clear. But in those situations when you give an unclear message, your spouse can't really know what you're thinking. Sometimes we think our spouses are mind readers, and they're not. And that's why it's important to be direct with them.
And with those unclear messages, I know for myself, it seems very clear to me. I feel like I have been very clear in the message I'm giving. And there is no way you would misunderstand this. For example, when he's talking to me after he's come from running and I'm giving really short answers, really kind of uninterested answers, I'm thinking, wow, I'm really sending the message that I don't want to have this conversation, so go and shower. And I'm like, how else could I be more clear? This is the best way to give this message, to deliver this message. But for him, it's just like, we woke up, we were in a good place, and then now what's going on? Unless I say, honey, I love you, but please could you go shower because I don't like the smell, or something along those lines, depending on how we've agreed to address and communicate that to each other, then he wouldn't know why I am acting the way I'm acting. So how do you recognize and stop the cycle of avoidant behavior?
It's just asking yourself, are you frustrated right now? In marriage, you're taking two people with completely different habits and behaviors and putting them together. And when you do that, there's always going to be some things that can annoy your spouse and that you do. And in that, it's important as a spouse to try and think of, am I frustrated at this? And does this irk me a certain way, or does this make me feel angry? And then if you do realize that you have these strong feelings towards a certain thing that your spouse does, then that's the important part, that you tell yourself, no, I need to say this. I need to say this directly and honestly, and not in a subliminal way, not in indirect messages, but I need to be direct with my spouse here. And the thing is, in your relationship, every relationship is different. In your relationship, you might not be used to actually being direct with your spouse. So I wonder if you take your time with this and try a little bit at a time. But what we found is that the times when we've been direct with each other regularly, we just feel like we really understand each other. But whenever indirect messages starts coming into the mix, I just get confused sometimes, and Shari gets confused sometimes. She doesn't know what I'm really thinking. And so we'd encourage you that it will start to feel more normal once you get used to doing it the first time, and give yourself time, but definitely try and get your foot in the door and give your first direct message to your spouse, because it will just help with your connection, and with them being able to know what you really think.
What I've learned in 5 years of marriage is that some things I would think in my head are not worth saying, but those things are important to say too, and to share this is how I view this, or this is how I see this, or this is how I feel about this. Because when in my mind I qualify this is important enough and this isn't, I still react and I still communicate my preferences or my dislikes to Isaiah, and he doesn't know that I have those preferences or dislikes. And so I need to actually share everything, and together we can agree on this is really important or this is not that important. It opens the discussion to this is what's going on, and then rules out the possibility of I just don't know why you're acting like this. But it's better to, in my head, I think, wow, this is a really unreasonable thing. But if I don't communicate that, I still do by how I act, by how I respond, by what my face is saying, by what my body is saying. We talk a lot by our whole selves. And so I need to say, hey, I don't like this particular thing, or I really love this thing specifically. So then he's like, oh, she's communicated that. Where do we go from here? So that's something I feel like it's really important that I'm still trying to work on. It's always a battle in my mind. I have to grow so much more. I've come a long way from 5 years ago, but I still have a long way to go.
Thanks for sticking with us as we talk about avoidant behavior and what it is, why it's a problem, and how to avoid it in the future. If you have more to say on this behavior, please share in the comments down below. We'd love to hear about how you've tackled it in your marriage and what steps you're taking. It's important to learn from each other, and we'd love to hear from you guys.
Please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of our next video. We'll see you next time.